Not just like, hey, I did the thing that one time and it didn't work. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Hope wherever you are having a fan-frickin-tastic day. I feel like I've used that greeting before. I'm going to need to come up with some new material. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm glad you're taking time to check into the podcast and see what's going on. Because, man, we're talking about some great stuff today. And I wanted today's episode to be practical. I'm trying to get into the rhythm of talking about spiritual things or emotional things or mental things, intellectual things, talking about big ideas and big principles, and then balancing that with practical tactics, like things that you can do on the daily basis to make life fuller and richer. So that's the goal. So today we're going to talk about something real practical. But before we get into that, please remember, as always, to like, subscribe, hit all the little buttons, leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Do all of those things. Not because I'm trying to get your attention, not because I need affirmation, not any of that stuff, but simply because the more that stuff happens, the more this podcast grows and the more people that we as a community of people living life to the fullest can help others. So please, if you're tuned into the show, comment, like, subscribe, notifications, ratings and reviews, all of that stuff so that we can grow and help more people live life to the fullest. You know, it's been a really interesting week. There's a lot of stuff going on, and part of me wants to talk about some of the things that I've seen, and part of me just wants to jump right into what we're doing. And I think what makes this past week so interesting is, you know, school systems are starting back up. There's more conversations about COVID. Do we close schools? Do we not close schools? I think everybody ought to be free as a community to do what they think is best for their community. But it does seem as though there are certain people who are not interested in doing what's right for kids. It seems like they're scared. They're afraid. And I get it. Rational fear is valid. Irrational fear seems not so much. You know, but then, okay, so here's the other thing that I want to highlight. There's a couple of things that I have found super helpful. And I think that's one of the things that I want to do more with this podcast is talk about other things out there like podcasts and articles and videos and content that I find super helpful because, surprise, I'm not the end-all be-all to how to live life to the fullest. I would be stupid if I thought I was. And this idea of like competition and scarcity, right? Like we don't need to be buying into the scarcity mindset. I believe there is enough for everybody. I believe Mother Earth produces what we need. I believe God gives everyone what they need for the moment in which they need it. So this idea of like hoarding and you keep all my viewers to myself. No, man, there's so much good content out there that's beneficial and useful and good for people. And, you know, a couple of things that stand out from what I watched this week was, see, now I'm going to have to look it up because I don't remember what the dude's name was. So give me 1 second. I watched this video from Lewis Howes on the School of Greatness. And he had a guy on there, and the video caught my attention because it talked about why we're tired. And there it is. Okay, hold on 1 second. What's the dude's name? Oh, I was right. Okay. I just didn't want to say it backwards. So the guy's name is Thomas Frank. Not Frank Thomas the Punisher. Thomas Frank. And one of the things that he talked about that I found incredibly helpful is the 1% rule. I'm not going to take time here this morning to go over it. I actually want you to go and see that podcast, right? That's the whole idea, is to branch out and get us connected to as many insightful, useful pieces of content that we can. So go check out Lewis Howes, The School of Greatness, and his interview with Thomas Frank, and find the 1% rule, because when I started to apply the 1% rule, even like today, I think my filming is going to be better because I was challenged to like find one thing that I could do better today. So that was that one. And then the other one is the Andrew Huberman podcast and the science behind habits and how we make them and how we break them. And man, I'm telling you, like I got into a place where I had my journal out and I'm scribbling notes and arrows and all these things going on and all the stuff I wanted to remember. And the science behind habit making, man, science is just cool. My son wants to be a scientist. I come from the art world, and for a long time I didn't have a lot to do with science because I didn't get it and I didn't understand it and I didn't see how it applied to my artistic endeavors. But man, the more guys like Andrew Huberman talk about science and how it applies and they make it super practical, the more I get excited. So that's another podcast. Go check out Andrew Huberman and the Andrew Huberman Lab and his podcast on breaking and making habits, because those two things that I encountered this week had just been super helpful, and I think you can be helped by them also. So now let's jump into what we're talking about today. We're talking about today about how to use one of these here. Now, this is an agenda or a planner, or call it an assistant, call it whatever you want to. I call it my agenda because I am writing out my agenda for each day. And we're talking about how to use an agenda to where it's actually beneficial. And I got a lot of help from this from Jordan Peterson. Not so much about how to do it, but the philosophy behind it. I mean, if you've been around me long enough, you know that there is a why behind everything that I do. And when I give you stuff that I think is beneficial, I want there to be a why for why you do it. Because I'm just going to give you stuff without the why, because then you won't keep it. There has to be a valuable reason why we engage with these different practices. So, for me, keeping an agenda really is about responding to life versus reacting. And I get this because I for a really long time did not keep an agenda. Like, I'm 39. I started keeping an agenda when I was 38. Yeah. But as soon as I did it and I made it consistent, it made my life so much easier because I wasn't reacting to the things of life. Like, you know how it is. If you get out there and you're on the job, or you've got kids, blessed tiny humans, and you're trying to do the things that you were made to do in this world, but there's just this bombardment of stuff that comes at you all day, every day. Your kids need this, your boss wants that, your employees need this, your tire goes flat, your lunch gets burned. I mean, like, life is a series of events that happen, and you can either, like, there's no, I don't like dichotomies, I don't like dualistic thinking, but this is one of the few exceptions. You can either respond to life or you can react to life. Now, most days, I'm doing a combination of both. But for a really long time, I was only reacting to life. I just get up, whatever happened. Today's the day, go to bed like, well, I didn't do 17 of the 18 things I wanted to today, but stuff happened. Okay, maybe. But I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to take each day and be the master of that day, not the deckhand getting sloshed about in the tidal wave of my endeavors, right? It was not the best metaphor I've come up with this week. So you keep an agenda so that you can respond to life. You keep it because you have things that you want to do in the day, and in order to facilitate the doing of your day, you have to be able to put some order around it. You're never going to fulfill the things you want to fulfill if you're living life in pure chaos. Chaos is necessary, and it's unavoidable. You didn't put that nail on the road and get the flat tire, but it happened. How do you respond to it? if you want to thrive in your day, you have to have a plan for what that day looks like. And we're going to talk about that here in a second in the practical how-to part, because there's different levels and different ways that you can do an agenda and keep up with all of those things that you want to accomplish in your day. But before you get into the how, you need to know why. Why do you want to keep an agenda? And I can give you some whys, but ultimately you've got to come up with your own. I keep an agenda because I have stuff that I want to do that A, makes my soul light up. I just get excited about life when I do these things. And B, there's a work that I'm supposed to do in this world that I want to make sure I'm doing the things that help me do that before I do anything else. Before people come and try to take my time, I want to make sure I have time set aside for the things I was made to do. That's my why. I want to thrive as a human being. I want this podcast to thrive. I want my artistic endeavors to thrive. I want my poetry to thrive. I want my kids to thrive. I want my wife. I want everybody around me to thrive. And I know that requires me to be more organized. Now, I want to talk to my artists out there, because I have a special heart for all my creative people out there. And it doesn't matter if you're a visual artist or a dancer or a musician or a content creator, whatever. All my creatives out there, you have to get organized. I promise you, I've done it both ways. I've lived life kind of off the cuff. Whatever happens, happens. I'll try to make some stuff. And I've lived life with an agenda, and I would not trade my agenda for chaos ever again. Because what it did was it actually created enough order for me to create. My creativity got more interesting, more available, more exciting when I put some structure in my day. Now, there's different degrees to that. There's different levels to that. But if you don't have any structure to your day and you're creative, your creativity is not at the level that it could be. I promise you. Keep an agenda for 3 months and then tell me your creativity didn't get better. I dare you. So if you're a creative out there and you don't have any structure to your day, go to the big box store, get you an agenda, try it for 3 months, tell me if it worked. Like, try it consistently, not just like, hey, I did the thing that one time and it didn't work. No, I'm talking about consistently every day. Figure out what you're doing and execute. Do that, right? So that's the why behind keeping an agenda. Now, how do we keep an agenda in a way that's actually effective? So I've said it a couple of times, but there's different levels, different ways, different degrees to which you can engage this particular healthy practice. You've got the Elon Musk way. And I just want to say, over the Christmas break, I drove by the Elon Musk Tesla plant city thing that they're growing out there. I don't even have words for it. It is cool. And I think Elon Musk is a pretty epic guy. And I don't remember who was talking about it, but one of the podcasts I listened to recently was talking about how Elon Musk went and made cars powered by electricity look cool. And that's why everybody wants one. Guy's awesome. Does he have flaws? Sure. Who doesn't? Is he the villain that all the progressive lefts want to make a villain? Absolutely not. Not even close. Anyways, what I understand about the way Elon Musk plans his day is he's got it down like by the minute. This is what I'm doing this many minutes. This is what I'm doing this many minutes. This is what I'm doing this many minutes. And there's 24 hours. Blam. I am not at that level. And I don't think that level would work for me personally. That's a level of structure that would ultimately undermine my creativity. So I can't engage at that level. On the flip side, there's I'm going to have the morning, and I'm going to have the lunch, and I'm going to have the evening, and that's like all you write down. That's too unstructured. That's not going to work. What you've got to decide is where in that scope of things are you going to find your, and it takes experimentation. Like, you're not going to find your way of keeping an agenda that works until you try a bunch of stuff. But here's the deal. You you got to start on the more structured end. Like, be as structured as possible. Write down times, time amounts, time frames. How long is this stuff going to take you? Because it's easier to knock back the structure than it is to increase the structure. If you're trying to find your way in an agenda, it's easier to plan a bunch of stuff, figure out that that was too much, and back it off, rather than be loosey-goosey with it and try to tighten the reins later on. That's just harder to do. And you're going to expend more energy. And I'm all about using energy for what it was for, not to try and like unnecessarily fix things. So you got to figure out what degree do you want to engage with, right? Now, on my agenda, like with this thing, I started, this is my 2022 agenda, and I started by looking at the year as a whole. What are the things that I want to do this year in the macro, the big scale, right? And I that's not something I came up with. I got that from one of the Order of Man podcast guests doing an interview, uber successful guy. I can't remember his name at the moment. I listened to it several months ago. But that little nugget of information was incredibly helpful. So I looked at my year. I sat down beginning of 2022 and I looked at the year and I said, okay, what are the big things I want to do? I want to produce at minimum 52 episodes this year. From January 1 to December 31st, 2022, I want to produce 52 episodes. That's one a week, 4 a month. That means I can't miss a single weekend of production. It's when I normally do my stuff. That was a big goal. So the reason that I do the macro first is because then I say, okay, well, what is it going to take to fulfill that macro endeavor? Or, another example, we are a nature-loving, animal-caring family. Mother Earth is a big deal to us. And one of the things that I want to do with my kids now that they're old enough to enjoy it is I want to take them on a big-time zoo adventure. Now, you can have different opinions about whether or not zoos are good, zoos are bad, zoos are evil, whatever. It's what I have available to bless my kids with at the moment. Would I love to take them to the bush in Africa and let them see animals in the wild? Yes. Am I in a place where I can do that in my life? No. Maybe later. But a zoo is available and I can do that, so I'm going to do that. And that's one of the macro things that I put on there is I want to take my kids on an epic zoo adventure. And I'm talking about the whole thing. Spend all day at the zoo, get a hotel, have fun with our food choices, just do all the things. That's going to require saving money. So I got to start planning for that trip in the summer now. And we need to do some research. Where are the zoos around us that are awesome? What are the costs? How far are they? How many animals do they have? All of these things. See, you plan in the macro so that you can find out the micro. What micro steps do I need to take today to get to that macro goal later on in the year? So that's number one. So I planned out my macro, and I've got, I think, 7 things that I want to do specifically this year. Some of it is art related, some of it is podcast related, some of it's family related, some of it's personally related, like my own personal growth endeavors, right? So I planned that out, and there's a section in my agenda that lets me plan out my year. So then I go day by day, then I go to the month, and there's a month calendar in my agenda, and I look at it, okay, what are the things happening in this month that are big things? Are we taking any trips? Are we going to see family? Do I have any big work events, big podcasting events? What are the things going on in the month that I need to be aware of ahead of time? So I plan all that out at the beginning of a month. And then I go day by day, okay? When you're going day by day, this is how I do it. If you want to start at this degree or level or whatever, you want to go more structured, less structured, whatever. This is how I do it. Maybe it'll give you a frame of reference for where you can start. Or if you keep an agenda where you can improve. Either way, I don't know. Wherever you are, go from there. So what I do is I break down my day into the big tasks that are happening and the little tasks that need to happen to make the big task happen. So for example, every morning I start with my soul care. I get outside, I go to the gym, I do yoga. One of those 3 things is always happening. And then, I do my personal grooming, how to make myself look fresh. Okay? Like, what do I need to do to take care of myself? And then I do my prayer and meditation time. All of those things. And breakfast with my kids. Like, that's my morning. And that's usually 2.5 to 3 hours worth of doing. And so that's how I start my day. Those things are non-negotiable. I am up 4:40, 4:50, somewhere around there, and I am doing the stuff that makes me a better human being. Non-negotiable. It's in my everyday. Then I've got, my 9 to 5, and I put that on there. And then what are the things inside of my 9 to 5 that I need to get done? And I list all that stuff out. Sometimes it's a lot of things. Sometimes it's not very many things at all. And then I put in there lunch. And I write down lunch in my everyday because I need to remind myself to stop, to pause, to breathe, to hug my kids, to love on them, to go home and eat some good, nutritious food, to do all the things that I know are right for me in the moment, and to get away from my 9 to 5 for a few minutes. To get some space, to breathe, to reset, get back into it in the afternoon. And then I write down the other things, like family time. Yes, I put family time on my calendar every day because when I get into family time, I am not available for anybody else in the world. I put my phone away. I don't do work stuff. I don't do podcasting stuff. I don't do social media. I don't do art. I am fully engaged with my wife and kids. And then I have art time. I usually end my day with a couple of things. One, I spend 1.5 hours or so making the art that I believe brings beauty and truth and goodness into the world. I love my art making time. I love painting. Painting does things for my soul that nothing else does. I have to paint almost every day. I don't paint on Saturday. I treat Saturday a little bit like a Sabbath. I'll talk about that in a second. So then I have my art time, and then I read, and then I write down what time am I going to bed? What time do I need to be in bed so that I can prioritize my sleep? If I could sleep less and do more, I would. But I can't because my body needs sleep. My brain needs sleep. My family needs me to be well rested. My job needs me to be well rested. So I put on my agenda, what time do I need to be in bed by? What time do I need to start going to bed? What am I reading before I go to bed? Reading helps me mellow out. Right now I'm reading that book I talked about in last week's episode, Faith and Art by Makoto Fujimura. It's a fantastic book. After that, I'm reading the biography of St. Francis of Assisi. I started it, but then this Fujimura book came up, and I kind of sidelined it for a minute. Usually drink some chamomile tea. That's on there. And so that's how I agenda out my day. These tasks and the subtasks that need to happen before I do anything else. And then if something else comes up, at least I know where I have space in my day to handle those kinds of things. Or what do I want to do? Where can I move things if stuff gets in the way? I get to be the commander of my day, not the leaf in the wind. Although I love that expression. It's also a good movie. I'm not being blown about by life. I'm actually standing in the gap and doing the stuff that makes me a better human and hopefully helps other people be better humans. Now, there's one day that is different, and that's Saturday. So for me and my family, we Sabbath. And again, it is a religious thing, but it's not, I don't even know how to explain this. It's something we do because we know it's right for us and we know it's good for us. And we do it the Jewish way, like the day starts when the sun goes down, so Friday night, and ends when the sun goes down Saturday night. That's our 24-hour Sabbath. And on Saturdays, in my agenda, I usually only write 3 things: read, rest, and play. Those are the 3 things that I'm concerned with doing on Saturdays. That usually involves reading with my kids, playing with my kids, and resting while my kids watch cartoons. We don't do a lot of TV in our house, much at all. But on Saturday, my kids watch cartoons. They watch their Paw Patrol and the Wildcrats and Dinosaur Train and all. Yeah, I got little bitty kids, man. So, those are their shows. Those are their jam. And I love that because it's a chance for me to do things that are different. It's a chance for me to rest. And you have to schedule rest. If you don't schedule rest, you won't get any and you won't make it. Rest is equally as important as the work that you're doing, because it is the thing that allows you to do the work. So where are you scheduling your rest? Where are you taking time to just be? You know, I still do creative things on Saturday. I do wood carving or engraving or you know, like I made a braided cord yesterday. That took me an hour and a half. That was super fun. I had something I wanted to do with that, so I made that. I make things. They're usually short projects because I want to feel the gratification of a short-term project that's been finished. You know, the art that I'm making usually takes me a month to finish, and so having little things on Saturday that I can get a little bit of gratification from because I made something in a day, that's really nice. So I do that. I do those things, and I really benefit from that. But my Saturday looks different so that my Sunday through Friday can be awesome. So you got to schedule rest. You got to put rest in your agenda. Now, last thing, and this may be the most important thing that I got from Jordan Peterson when it came to making an agenda. Your agenda is not the factory manager telling you how to do your time. It's not a bully who knocks you down every time you don't get it right. Your agenda should be like your best friend who's encouraging you to do life well. And if you're scared of doing an agenda because you know there's going to be things in your day that you don't do, that you forget to check off or you forget to take care of, that's okay. Do not seek perfection. Seek authentic living. If you don't do something because you're afraid that you won't do it perfectly, guess what? You never will. And that's not the goal anyways. Perfection is not the goal. Perfection is boring. It is the oddities to life that make it interesting. Your agenda should be the thing encouraging you to live life the way you want to live it. It should be a blessing, not a bludgeon. Be kind to yourself when you keep an agenda. If you don't get stuff, okay, take time to ask why you didn't do that stuff. You know, one of my goals right now is I'm putting together a compilation of poetry that I've written, and haiku is a big part of that. And I need to be writing a haiku poem every day to perfect my craft. And for several months last year, I would put on my agenda, write haiku poem, and I wouldn't do it. And it happened enough times that I had to sit down and go, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up about this, but I want to explore why it's happening. Why am I not doing the things that I know are good for me and that I know promote the work that I want to make? So use your agenda that way. Don't beat yourself up with it. Analyze it, examine it. Why are you doing things the way you're doing them? Why are you not doing stuff that you put on your agenda? And don't set yourself up to fail either. That's the other thing. Don't put stuff on there that you know you won't do or that you're questionable. When you start out, put stuff on your agenda that you know you're going to get done. Because this is about taking charge of your day, not being bullied by it, not being knocked around by it, but being blessed by it. That's the whole purpose of an agenda, to help you live life the way you want to, the way you know you need to. It should be a blessing, not a bludgeon. Man, you guys are awesome. I know that you have what it takes to bring the fullness of your presence into the world, and I hope that today's content helps you do that. Man, it's a great freaking day to be alive. Till next time, comment below, how is this helping you? What are you doing with this material? And until then, and until next time, get out there and live life to the fullest. Cheers, guys.